This is Radio TV Phono Nut, and today we have on the bench a very nasty, filthy, cigarette-infused 19-inch Sanyo black plastic crap color TV from probably the late 90s or early 2000s. This is not something that I normally work on anymore for obvious reasons, but someone I know, an older guy, brought this thing to me yesterday and said it had made a buzzing sound in the audio. And when I look at it for him, he said it had great color and he liked it and didn't really want a flat screen, so I agreed to take it. And I don't even see a date on this thing, but it's definitely just a low-end 19-inch TV, no AV inputs or anything, just a coax RF input, and that's it. Now, back whenever I was a teenager, I loved getting sets like this because I could actually fix them up and make a few bucks off of them. Now I politely turn these down when they're offered to me. And why do I turn them down? It's because I could tape a $5 bill to one and put it on the Facebook, baby clothes, and cell phone pages for free, and would nobody even bother to come pick it up, even with the $5 bill taped to it. That's just how bad it's gotten now. Pretty much TVs are a waste of time as far as fixing them to make any money off of. Even the older flat screens nobody wants anymore. If it's not a smart TV or a TV that's under a year old, they don't want any part of it. But enough babbling about that. I can't change the direction things are going. All I can do is make the best of it. So let's fire it up and see exactly what he means by buzz in the sound. Alright, here we go. Well, that's not an audio buzz, I can tell you that, and I think I know exactly what it is. Well, here's the inside of it, and good grief, this thing is nasty, just like I figured it would be. You know what? Stuff like this should be good advertising for the American Cancer Society. You know, you think when people see the effects of cigarettes on electronic stuff like this, you know, just imagine what it does to your body. You would think this would be enough to scare people into not smoking, but I guess not. It's one of those habits that I'm very thankful that I never picked up on. Get a closer look at the board and the nastiness. And this board it brings up a point that Sanyo made in a recent TV video as far as how much things have evolved. I believe it was the real dirty Philco Ford set that he was working on, where he talked about how the manufacture of televisions evolved into smaller designs over the years, and this is such an example. I guess you could say this is a set towards the end of the CRT era, and instead of a big massive chassis with either lots of tubes or lots of plug-in modules with lots of transistors on those modules, we're pretty much down to two main ICs running the whole set, one IC being the microprocessor and the other IC being the signal IC that contains all of your video, chroma, IF, audio, vertical and horizontal drive, all of that in one chip. Okay, I believe the chattering is coming from this relay right here. That's the off-on power relay that you normally click to engage the contacts to turn the set on when the power button is pressed, and then click again to turn it off when the button's pressed again, but right now it's just chattering. Yeah, as you can hear. It's a common problem on these Sanyos, and it's a bad electrolytic capacitor in the standby power supply, which I think it's this capacitor right here, I believe. I'll take it out and check it. It serves as a filter capacitor, but when that capacitor goes bad, it causes the relay to chatter like crazy. So let's pull that capacitor and see if that fixes it. Here's the suspected 470 microfarad capacitor. It looks like it's reading about 9 microfarads, so it's pretty well shot. And here's a new 470 reading 462, so you can see that my meter is not stripped to gear. Alright, let's install this and see if the relay decides to be quiet. Here's our new capacitor standing up. Let's hit the button and see if it cooperates. Nice. No relay chatter. Now, there's one other thing I want to do, or actually a couple other things I want to do as preventative maintenance before I send this set back home. Another very common problem with Sanyos is for the pins on the vertical output IC to develop cold solder joints, and the result of that is intermittent vertical deflection and eventual destruction of the IC if it's not taken care of. It doesn't look like this has ever been resoldered, so I'm going to resolder that. And also the pump-up capacitor for the vertical IC, it's usually either a 100 microfarad or a 220 microfarad, depending on the set manufacturer. It will dry out, and when it first starts acting up, you'll notice what looks like little thin white lines at the top of the screen. And if that capacitor is not replaced, then once again, this IC will self-destruct. Most customers didn't bother to take the set in whenever it first started showing the little white lines. They'd let it run until it totally burned up the IC, and then they would take it to the repair shop and then squeal when the repair technician gave them a repair estimate that's a lot more money than would it been had they just brought it in to start with. Okay, I replaced the boost cap in the vertical circuit. It was a 220 microfarad. It was reading about 25 microfarads low, and that's about to the point where they start giving trouble. I also replaced this 47 microfarad secondary B+ filter capacitor right here that comes off of the regulator. It was a little bit on the weak side, and when it goes, it can cause the horizontal output transistor to short, so I went ahead and took care of that. And I resoldered the vertical output IC and resoldered several other things, the horizontal drive transformer, the horizontal output transistor, some power resistors. I'm trying to give this set as much life as I can for the guy. Well, within reason. I'm not going to replace every part on here just to make sure it lasts for another 40 years. I mean, let's face it, if this thing was to go totally belly up, he could go to any thrift store in town and get something the equivalent to it for $10 or less.
Sister yet?
Okay, we're back, and we have a pretty good picture for an old TV that's been run into the ground. I know people turn their noses up at these kinds of TVs today, but do you think a modern flat screen would last 20 years and still work this well? No, I don't think so, but of course people don't care about that anymore. All they care about is having the latest and greatest thing, and so what if the new TV goes out in a year? They'll just go buy one that's even bigger and has more features on it. Alright, there you go. Thanks for watching, and more to come later.
Not my type of soul.